On today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, a little Sunday service. Get your ties ready. Joe Mixon will be out an extended period of time. Is it time to panic? And why his absence is a good thing for a couple of players in the running back room. Day 4 observations and leaning on Christian Kirk is important for the success of the wide receiver room in 2025.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, from H-Town to your town. Today's episode and every episode is for Texan fans all around, especially you Texan fans that was lined up, rumored at 3 o'clock in the morning to get to that open practice. Listen, I know y'all ready for some football. I know y'all been looking ready for Texans football, dedicated fan base. This ain't even a joke, man. Shout out to y'all because y'all are the reason why I love doing what I do. And thank you to all of my everydayers, my players from the Himalayas. Thank you for coming back for another episode. Continue to support the podcast. If you are new to the channel, you will want to come back again and again and again and again, because this is where you need to be for all local news, your team every day, covering the Houston Texans. I'm your Texas Credential Media member and football analyst, John Hickman. On today's episode, what are we talking about, guys? Well, leaning on the vet, Christian Kirk. I can't wait to dive into that conversation just to get his thoughts on, how he can be a player that the team can lean on, especially their wide receiver room. Day 4 observations from camp, the good, the bad, and the real. And that's one thing we're going to do here on the show is keep it real. But the biggest news from day 4 had nothing to do with players at camp. It had everything to do with a player that was not at camp, and that is Joe Mixon. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, the biggest news of the day is absolutely the news that Joe Mixon will be out an extended period of time with a frustrating foot injury, per Ian Rappaport. Shout out to Aaron Wilson, who followed that up by reminding us Joe Mixon missed most of the 2024 preseason with a quad injury, didn't play in any preseason games, which was typical during his time with the Cincinnati Bengals. So we know that Joe Mixon started off camp on the NFI list. We know he was in a walking boot early in the offseason. We know that Houston signed Nick Chubb in the offseason to boost the running back room. We know that Houston traded up for Woody Marks. We know that DP hasn't practiced. We know that it's been Nick Chubb, Woody Marks, Jawar Jordan, who has looked fairly good, man. I hope the Houston Texans can try to find a way to keep him around or just take him seriously as a back. British Brooks and Darray has been out there practicing since day 1. Is it time to panic? Right now, I think you can justify being at a 5 or 6. And here's why. The difference between Joe Mixon last season and this upcoming season is he was out there practicing during camp. He was available. He was around. He was with the guys on the field. Joe Mixon not playing in preseason games, that doesn't matter in my opinion. Like, he's a back that when it comes to actual preseason games, he's a back that you can just start off, week 1 and get it right? Especially if he's been around. What does matter is this team is going through a complete overhaul. So, while the preseason games don't matter, while going through a complete overhaul, him being out there physically in practice, while the growing pains of getting down what the offense is asking of from the QBs, from the offensive linemen, from the tight ends, the running backs, the wide receivers, that matters. That's number one. And for the offensive coaching staff who is coaching on a team that has really emphasized the term, it's all about the details, right? We've heard that a lot. We've heard it from D'Amico Ryans. We heard it from assistant coaches. Details and being deliberate on the details and coaching the details and learning the details, that matters. You want to see what those details look like with every player, of course, but especially your best player in a room, your best player, one of your best players on the team. And some people may not like to hear this, but every rep matters. Christian Kirk, who we'll get into to close out the show today, he mentioned the freedom to make adjustments in this offense. And being out there, and a lot of that freedom is more so for the wide receivers in terms of how they attack different coverages, but it's going to be some freedom there for C.J. Stroud to do things differently, right? He got a lot on his plate. We'll talk about that as well. But being out there, getting those reps matter. I also want to add, Aaron Wilson reported Joe Mixon is still slated to be ready for week 1. But here's the optimism, guys, that y'all know. If you've been here since day one, you know that whether it was Cody, myself, or whether it was Brian Bearfield for a time, there's going to be some optimism here on the show. This is the best time for Nick Chubb to create separation between himself and the other backs. This is it. Perfect time for Nick Chubb to really get those reps, get his body back to where he wants it to be for game playing speed, game playing shape. And I also add this, man. I saw it online, just a conversation, did Chubb look slow? I'm here to tell you here on the Locked On Texas podcast, no. Chubb looked patient. He looked cautious because he's a running back. And the running backs in the offensive line, they ain't got no pads on. He was also faced with pressure on a few runs in the backfield, and seeking contact would be irresponsible without pads on, especially from a running back that's trying to rehab himself back. He's rehabbed himself back, so let me not say that, but get himself back to a playing speed and shape where he's comfortable. Seeking out contact without pads on would be extremely irresponsible for everybody, but especially Nick Chubb. So we won't find out the real until Monday when those pads come on. This is also the best time for rookie running back Woody Marks to kind of speed himself up into maybe the game plans for the Houston Texans and what they are looking for from him. No DP out there in front of him, no Mixon taking first team practice reps. And I do want to add the Houston Texans do a very good job. Like, you'll see team 1 drills, team 2 drills, team 4 drills, and you'll see the starters out there with the essential starters, but then you'll see them mix it up a lot. So credit to the Houston Texans for doing that. So there was not going to be any doubt that Woody Marks would not be on the field with C.J. Stroud in the first team unit for this offseason, this preseason period. But he is in a place right now where getting those practice reps is important. He's in a space now where the doors are open for him to walk through, run through. Talented young back who really showed his value in the passing game. How do I know? I was out there sweating with y'all, man. Some of y'all that showed up there. I saw an OG out there puffing a cigar. It was early in the morning, so Texan fans was ready for that action. But up next, day 4 observations and takeaways. And let me just say this. Learning a new offense is frustrating, but that don't mean it's a bad thing. More Locked On Texas talk on the other side. I've talked about it before. I can't wait for you guys to really get locked in with me, because this year I'm going to do a Locked On Texans fantasy league. And like I mentioned the other day, I may end up having to do 2 leagues because a lot of you guys have been very eager to want to join. So I'm excited for that. But this episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back. Fire up those group chats. Get your draft board ready and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all of the overreactions we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, me and you guys will join a Locked On Texans league. We'll be playing on Yahoo Fantasy. And you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a vet making your millionth lead. Yahoo Fantasy is where you need to be, man. I've used Yahoo Fantasy for years. I love the smooth draft day experience. Our league has been running through Yahoo for a while now. Easy setup, great mobile app, and Smack Talk just hits differently in those Yahoo Fantasy message boards. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy growth, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. All starts August 4th. Stay tuned and get started by creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League, yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. That's yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. And let's make this fantasy season the best won yet. Again, yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL.
And head coach when building a roster and coming out here to training camp and, see what you have.
What do you expect from your offensive line?
CJ upright?
Upright, yeah. So we'll see. There were a lot of changes in the O-line, a lot of changes in the coaching, and it's not about one person. It's about all of them working together, from the very top to all the guys on the roster, including guys that aren't on the offensive line. But they all got to work together to get us where we want to go.
Welcome back in your Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. That was John McClain asking the McNairs to simply what do they have to do to protect CJ Stroud. That question and how it was asked remind me of the Cedric the Entertainer bit on the Kings of Comedy by having a black president and how you can't ask a black president different type of questions. Tell us about Monica Lewinsky. You can kind of see the anguish there in the McNairs, but they did a very good job of addressing the media. They also announced, and shout out to Miss Janice McNair, will be going into the Texans Ring of Honor this year, and so I think that's amazing. So I just want to kind of point that out there. But they're right, keeping CJ Stroud upright, and that will be a part of some of my day 4 observations. I mean, it was a defensive day. They won the matchup, but I do think that there was some encouraging takeaways from the offensive side of the ball. But defensively, 2 pick sixes on the day by Azeez and Myles Bryant. Rookie Jaylen Reed got in on the fun as well. He had an interception on the day. And let me just say this, man. This is Sunday service episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. At some point, they need to market Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter as the baptism brothers, because that's exactly what they were doing on the day 4 training camp. They were baptizing those tackles, whether it was vets or rookies, by fire. And it was tough. Made it tough on the offensive line, though. Again, no pads on. Somebody's got to tell Will Anderson to chill out, but I hope he doesn't. And again, no pads on, but I thought the O-line had an up and down day collectively. Watching Blake Fisher as much as I could. I really wanted to look at some Blake Fisher on Saturday. He had some good reps. He had some encouraging reps. He also had some not so encouraging reps. So just to see his growth in year 2, he's going to need that baptism by fire to get better, right? I truly believe iron sharpens iron. You don't get better unless somebody's kind of whooping your ass all day, every day, and you figure out, you know what? I don't want to get whooped today. I want to find a way to win the battles. And so, again, I thought he had an up and down day. I thought Ariante Arisri, the rookie, had an up and down day. Rough day for John Mechie, and the clock may be ticking. Mechie does everything right. I mean, breaking out of routes, how he runs the routes, getting open. He does everything right but bring in the ball. He had a couple of drops in the passing game. Also during special teams unit, had a couple of, misfortunate things happen there. I noticed discouraging body language. He was embraced by D'Amico Ryans on the sideline at one point during the day. He's getting the opportunities, but it's all about taking advantage of them. And as of right now, he has not done so to this point. Jalen Smith, another rookie, getting some special team love on punt return. Coach is really hyping him up. His teammates, Kamari Lassiter and Caleb Bullock, love him. The rookie is being embraced in that room. I, for one, was very impressed with the tight end room. Brevin Jordan, you guys know I'm a fan of his. He may actually be this unit's X factor, but I thought he looked good. Saw Houston deploying some different personnels out there, using them in motion, and overall just exploring different ways to get the tight end unit involved. But I thought Brevin looked good. I thought Cade Stover looked good. I thought Cade Stover looked comfortable. But more so, I thought he moved like a real tight end. And he was in that transition period, right? Played tight end at Ohio State, but he was recruited to play linebacker, made the position change. You don't get it overnight, right? Some guys ain't going to pop out and be Antonio Gates or Jimmy Graham, like some of those guys that flip the switch. And that's normally basketball to football. So that athletically, they're able to still kind of do some things that gives them an advantage. So what I saw from Cade Stover was just comfortability in terms of body movement and fluidity out there. Woody Marks, made a couple of plays in the passing game, right? I kind of wrote his name down a couple of times. Well, we all got phones, so I text his name down a couple of times. But there was a play, a passing catch over the middle that really gives you a glimpse into what he can be for this team as a pass catcher out of the backfield. And I can't remember if he lined up outside or was it on was that Texas route? But he made a play, caught the ball in the middle of the field, picked up some yak yards. And I want to clarify something that I tweeted after camp Saturday. I tweeted, learning the new offense is impacting CJ Stroud. I never said it in a negative way. But as I was out there, I just simply observed a quarterback who, by the way, is known for being a little bit more lively. Just noticing the quarterback is learning something different while having more on his plate in terms of control. And by the way, the offense is absolutely using more emotion out there from my observation. But the mental aspect is impacting CJ right now. I mean, love it or hate it, but the truth is, in some ways, it'll get ugly before it gets pretty. I'm optimistic it'll get pretty. I almost want to say I know it'll get pretty, though, with the NFL and football, you can't get too ahead of yourself, but I have trust that he'll get this thing down. But he is learning a lot right now, and he himself may just be in a different zone. And to that point, a coach that normally is a lot more hyped, D'Amico Ryans is in a different zone. Like, I just noticed him Friday and Saturday just kind of being out there, being observant, right? The energy isn't right there. Those guys are learning a lot about themselves, learning a lot about this team as they are heading towards a different direction, and that is okay. But those are my observations from day 4. I have some more, but those were the things that stood out the most. I was encouraged by the tight end unit, up and down day from the offense, up and down day from the offensive line, but overall, the defense won the day. Now, a play that was made that I think everybody loved, especially the fans, because it happened on their side of the field where they get all the action. Christian Kirk with a 20-yard, I think that was a comeback route, but it was completed for 20 yards. CJ to Christian Kirk linking up on a pass play down the field. And another thing that I noticed, this team as of right now, there's a lot of underneath passing going on. There's a lot of get this ball out and let our playmakers pick up yak yards. And I noticed that, and I love that. But the play that I liked that was down the field, the 20-yard pass to Christian Kirk. The Houston Texans will need Kirk a lot in this offense. So next up to close out the show, the great value. Some of us know great value because we had to make it work, but Christian Kirk brings great value to this offense so it can work, and that is something I can buy every time. More Locked On Texas to close out the show. But you guys need to make sure that you are out at the games this year. I do not want to hear Stan call me and say, man, why the Texas fans ain't at the stadium fielding it up? And there's no excuse because with game time, they make it all easy on you. We've all been there logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, game tickets to go on sales, only to you lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see or to not find a price that you're looking for. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. Buying game tickets should be about family fun, not dealing with the stress of paying too much. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets and your Texan tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime or the game. You can save up to 60% with their killer last-minute deals. Tired of endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal? Game Time Zone picks the best seat in your section for you. With Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees. Worried about what happens if plans change? The Game Time guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and more. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets, game tickets, and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back, Locked On Texas listeners and viewers. Before we close out today's episode, let's just take a moment, to hear from Christian Kirk on what he's seen throughout his time in the NFL and how he can use it here in Houston.
Yeah, I think with just what we're able to do personnel-wise, going from 12 to 11 personnel, being able to move guys around in an offense, that's something that, I've done in the past and I really enjoy, not just me playing in the slot and Nico being outside by himself, putting Nico in the slot sometimes, putting Hutch in the slot, putting Jaylen, just moving guys around and dictating, the defense with, formation and motion, I think is the best way to operate as an offense. And Nick has done a great job of, being able to install that so far and putting us at a spot where we can keep on evolving. So that's one of the things that I really, enjoy and that I've done in the past that's helped me so far.
That was Christian Kirk just talking about how Nick Haley and this offense is evolving and finding different ways to utilize their players on the field. Also, during the post-practice press conference, he mentioned that this is the best he's felt in a long time. We know that Christian Kirk the last 2 seasons was not able to finish the year out. And so for an offense that has a lot of question marks, for an offense that doesn't have the amount of experienced vets in that room, you got Nico and Christian Kirk comes in. He has the most experience in this room right now. Starting his career off in Arizona, his best years with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm pretty sure he's glad to be out of that situation and here in Houston where he can be in an offense that'll utilize him. I'm pretty sure he is looking forward to playing a complete season. But what I liked about Christian Kirk's comments was, they're figuring it out, but it feels like each drive can be different. Each playmaker can have a different role. Each player that we will be seeing on the field, Christian Kirk, Nico Collins, the 2 rookies, and John Mechie. And I'm still rooting for John Mechie, but those guys will be looked at to make plays, to be playmakers, but they're going to find a way for those jobs to be easier for those players. And I think that's what you really want. Like for Kirk, and he spoke, highly of the Houston Texans organization. They helped him out this offseason. He was traded here, just helping him get back and forth to go see his family, see his pregnant wife. So he spoke, great things about the organization. But for Kirk, at this stage in his career, the question may be, okay, how much does he have left in the tank? And when you get to moments like that for some players, those players are, typically still good, but the utilization of those players can't be maybe what it once was. And I think that's just reality. Like you may have a player who had a good early start to his career, but he's a little bit older now and his body is going through ups and downs and changes. And so for that player, how can you get the best out of him? I think last year for the Houston Texans, and to be fair, they didn't have Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins out there at the same time a lot. But the offense was very much so, and with the tight end room as well. This is what I want you to do, find a way to get there. And one of my criticisms of the offense was there was not a lot of times where we saw the offense have a counterpunch when they got punched back in the mouth. First half of games, they played great for the most part. Second halves, that's where you saw them kind of tail off, especially in the third quarter. By the time Houston gets to the fourth quarter, they're fighting to win a game. And then we're seeing Jaime Fairbairn having to go out there and nail 50-yard field goals to win those games. So now it comes off as the word that I took out of that, evolving. To evolve, you sit back and find a different way to grow. And the growth that this offense we're looking for is for Christian Kirk, who's seen a lot. How are you able to take what you've seen in Arizona, Jacksonville, and now and allow that to be something that the young guys can lean on, find ways to win, and then just operate in an offense that'll be called Kelly, who will put you out on the field to do things differently? How are you able to kind of maximize that role? And he talked about just looking forward to being inside, outside, not just inside, having opportunities to line up outside, but not necessarily only for himself, but also for the playmaker Nico Collins, also for Jaden Higgins. One of the things that I was looking forward to while he was drafted, one of the draft process, was the quote-unquote power slot role. And if you guys are having issues with me, I apologize. I will be getting that fixed soon. It's been frustrating, but not as frustrating as learning a new offense. So when learning a new offense, you want to have it, you want to be as comfortable as you can possibly be out there. Comfortability sometimes comes with, from a football perspective, a coach finding a way to get you easier opportunities. Lining up outside is what we'll see Nico Collins do, I'm sure, 80% of his snaps. But that in that 20% where he's not outside, when he's inside, what does the rest of the offense look? Is it predictable or is it adaptable? Are they moving inside to be adaptable? Are they moving them inside to be a little bit more flexible, to be an offense that can dictate defense and attack the defense? And I think overall that is what I'm looking forward to in 2025, and that will start in preseason. We'll get a couple of weeks, and I'm excited for that. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. Give me a follow on Twitter at John_Hickman12. Until next time, ladies and gents, I got another episode dropping soon. You're not going to miss it. It's all Texans talk all week, baby. Stick around for more Locked On Texans. Peace.